Hello, lovies. It's your Auntie Lisa, the cool aunt, the non-judgmental aunt, the aunt you can tell anything to. Now, I've learned some life lessons, some of them the hard way. Let's find out what life lessons we have today with Auntie Lisa's Life Lessons. Hi, it's your Auntie Lisa. I'm back. I owe you an apology. And I owe you an explanation. I've been gone for a couple of weeks now. I would say maybe 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. And I want to explain why. I'm fine. Don't worry about that. I am totally fine. But your Auntie Lisa has a little bit of a, not even a little bit of a, has a big issue that she deals with medically. And that is major depressive disorder and OCD. And I want to go back a couple of years to explain this. And I think it's very important to understand and to normalize mental illness and mental health issues, which is why I'm taking the time to go back and explain this. I've always had depressive issues ever since I was a child, and I was in therapy. Oh my God, the amount of therapy I was in when I was a child because of my depression. And it continued. I also have OCD, and the OCD manifested itself in ways that if I was not perfect, if I did not get perfect grades, not just A's, mind you, but 100% or more A's. If I was not the best at everything I tried, if I was not perfect, I was not worthy. And if I was not perfect, if I did something wrong, horrible things were going to happen to my family. That is just how my OCD manifested itself, okay? Depression manifests itself as the blackness, the absolute blackness. That's what I call it. The blackness is never good. It is very evil. It lies to you. It tells you things that are not true. It makes you believe that you're worthless and that life should not even continue for you because why? And I've had that kind of depression my entire life. It wasn't until I was married to my second husband, Rick, that I started getting help for the depression. We went to the doctor, and he prescribed for me, because I have a chemical imbalance in my brain, several medications that did not work. And we finally came across one that did, and it was Prozac. Now, this is way back, when Prozac was kind of new. So, I've been on Prozac for, I want to say hundreds of years, but it's 20 plus years. Long time. Well, let's go back about 6 years. About 6 years ago, the blackness came in really bad. And I do mean really bad. And there was an episode where I felt completely and totally worthless. And I got up in the middle of the night. I texted my sister to take care of my husband and my son. And then I drove. And I drove to the top of a hospital parking lot that was over 6 stories tall. And I parked the car and got to where I could climb up over the ridge. There was only one place where you could really climb up over. And I'm sitting there looking down, and I wanted to jump. I was going to jump. The only thing that stopped me from jumping that day And I don't know if the hospital planned it this way or if it was just lucky coincidence. But the only place I could climb up over the railing had below it 2 trees. And there was no way that I was going to be able to jump directly down and hit concrete. I would have hit the trees instead. Now, I was clearly thinking enough to know that if I hit the trees, I would survive, but would be messed up. I would have broken legs, broken arms, maybe impaled in places I didn't want to be in. Oh, by the way, this might get graphic. I knew that the trees would break my fall, is basically what I'm saying. And I didn't want that. I didn't want there to be the chance to survive if I did this. But there was no way to hit concrete directly. And that's a good thing. Because I sat there for hours. I guess I drove up around 2 o'clock, and it was dawn before I got home. My sister had contacted my husband. They were looking for me. You know, the police eventually found me. Helped me home. And from that, I started seeing a psychiatrist, of course. I mean, you make attempts to take your life, you see a psychiatrist. And the thing is my suicidal ideation was just that. It was ideation. It wasn't that I wanted to die. It's that I just didn't want to continue. I know that sounds the same, but it's not the same. And the continuing had nothing to do with any. Granted, I hated my job at this time, and there is no way to put a nice point on it. I hated my job, but I thought it was the only thing I could do. And so there was that. And I've been in, as I said, therapy all my life. I've worked through a lot of the issues that I had, the mommy issues, the daddy issues, the abandonment issues, all that. I've already worked through that. What we discovered is that the Prozac that I was taking for so many years, and was now at the maximum dose I could take, had just stopped working. And I didn't know that. It just stopped. So without the ability of my body to continually reuptake its serotonin and to produce serotonin, I was in the black place and thought that there was no hope. Okay, so that's 6 years ago. Let's fast forward to about 6 weeks ago. I've been feeling funky. Not what I would call depressed, but funky. It was obvious to me that something wasn't working right, and I had even mentioned it to my husband a couple of times. I'm just not feeling right. Something's off. I'm just not feeling right. And we didn't know if it was, that I was tired or that I was stressed. I mean, I have a full-time job. My husband and I have a business that we run in addition to my full-time job. My son is a special needs young adult. My husband has MS, so he and I, so there's some stress. Just say that. There's a little bit of stress in my life. Just a little bit. But, there wasn't anything that would cause me to feel so, And then my dog died. I loved Brindy with so much. She was my doggy daughter. And when she passed, I could not stop crying. I'm a very stoic person. You can ask my husband, am I stoic?
Yep.
Yeah, very stoic person. I tend not to show emotions a lot. I can be horribly depressed, but I'm not going to tell you. I can be very sad. I'm not going to cry. I can be angry. You won't know about it except for the fact that I'm not talking to you. So, I try to emotionless because I was raised by a man, my grandfather, who thought that showing emotion was weakness. So I'm still working through that issue. But anyway, that being said, when my dog died, I cried a lot. And I could not stop crying. It was every day I was crying. And this went on for a long time after Brindy passed. I kept crying and kept crying. I would burst into tears at things that didn't deserve any tears at all. Even in the most horrible times, they wouldn't have been bursting into tears. Crying every day. And it was getting worse. Now, I did make a phone call. I made a phone call to my doctor because I was recognizing that things were not right. So I called my doctor to get in to see her. And it was a month out before I could see her. And this is where today's healthcare system really sucks. Because there's no reason I should have had to wait. I mentioned to the person taking the appointment, I mentioned my depression meds have stopped working. I can tell something is up. I need to get in as soon as possible to see the doctor. A month out. So as we're waiting for the appointment to come around, things are getting worse and worse and worse. The crying is continuing. I am not breaking free of whatever this is. And life has become black. The thing is I love my life now. I have a job I like. I won't call it love because some people annoy me, but I have a job I really like. I own a business with my husband that I love. Our household family dynamic, everything is very, very good. I love my life. But I didn't want to continue anymore. And I started having suicidal ideation again. Now, it was just ideation. It wasn't making the plans. When you make the plans is when you know things have gotten a little bit too much. But I was thinking, how would I do it if I did? Would it be a car wreck? Would it be like I tried to do before with jumping? What would I do, right? When I started planning a car wreck, I knew I was in trouble. And I'm bursting into tears. And it is not a good thing. And all of this mentally, in the head, I knew this is not right. This isn't me. This isn't how I am. This isn't how I act. This does not make sense for me to be feeling this way. So I knew it was a chemical imbalance and not like I needed therapy. Well, one day, things are just getting worse and worse and worse. Oh, it was so horrible. Lovies, it was bad. And my husband, he's worried about me. My best friend Todd is worried about me. Another very, very awesome good friend of mine, Pet, worried about me. Everybody is worried because they know that I have this depression issue and it wasn't getting taken care of. So one day, I'm at work and my phone rings. And I answer the phone, and it's my doctor's office. And they wanted to move up my appointment. My appointment was a week away. Now, at this point, it had gotten to the point where I didn't want to work. All I wanted to do was call in. All I wanted to do was sleep. I didn't want to do anything but curl under the covers and sleep. I did not want to exist in a reality. I wanted to exist either in a dream world or somewhere where I could shut down, right? So the doctor's office calls me, and they said they had a cancellation and could see me that week on Wednesday. This was on a Monday. Or was this on a Tuesday? This was on a Tuesday, excuse me. Because I wanted to take Tuesday off and couldn't. And they said they could see me on a Wednesday. And I was thrilled. I took the appointment immediately. I made arrangements at work to immediately, be able to take that time off, everything. Thrilled. Told my best friend, Todd, I told him, I finally got in. Then my husband comes home. My husband, Dave, does on-call overnights about 2 to 3 nights a week for the area Humane Society. And he had taken the phone back so the next person could do on-call. And my husband is a sneaky little son of a gun. Because the Humane Society is right near my doctor's office. So my husband comes home, and the first thing I say to him is, hey, I want to talk to you about something. And he gives me this sheepish look. I'm sorry. What are you apologizing for? Don't apologize. I just need to tell you something. I was going to tell him that I was going to get to see the doctor. I'm sorry. I know it was really, really inappropriate, but something had to be done. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He'd stopped by the doctor's office and told them, look, it's getting bad. She's crying every day. That's not her. It's getting bad. Please get her in sooner. So they did. And I was like, I was just going to tell you that they called. They didn't even let me know that you had come by. He goes, I know it was inappropriate, but it had to be done. Thing is when you put everything together, yes, it was inappropriate. However, it was also needed. And he took the step that had to be taken to get me the help I needed. And I told my best friend Todd, and Todd is officially called Dave, my husband, my knight in shining armor now. All that being said, I'm looking over, he's right over there playing tiddlywinks, doing some work for our business right now. All that being said, I got in to see the doctor, and we went through the whole mental health evaluation, and we talked about my meds. We talked about meds that I had been on before that worked. We talked about meds that stopped working. We talked about everything, and we talked about how I was feeling with the depression and what kind of way it manifested itself, the aggression that came with it, because I get aggravated when I'm in the blackness. Don't mess with Auntie Lisa. Don't try to joke with her. Don't do the things that annoy her, because it annoys me even worse when I'm in the depression. And I was snapping at my son all the time. Lord, I wasn't nice to that boy. I wasn't nice to my husband half the time either. So we talked about that. And they actually changed my diagnosis a little bit. Well, they haven't officially changed it. We're talking about it. The doctor thinks that instead of major depressive disorder and OCD, that I may have OCD and bipolar depression disorder, which could explain some of the things. It could explain why when the darkness comes, it comes dark. So we're looking at that. They put me on another med, and I started slow and built up, and it's been about 2.5 to 3 weeks of taking this med, and I can tell that there's a difference. I can tell it's working. And that is about the best news anybody could give me. I mean, I'm even back to making my lists, and we're going to talk about my lists one day. I promise you we'll talk about my list. But my list. I'm back to making my list to keep myself organized. I'm back to planning things out and thinking, and not just sitting like a slug on the couch and staring at the television. I'm back to actually wanting to do things, to engage in my hobbies, which I have not wanted to do for about 6 months. So everything is getting better. And all that being said, I'm back. I had to take the time away because I could not even function, much less do an Auntie Lisa's life lesson for you. So that's why this is season 4. This is the beginning of Auntie Lisa being back again. It's the beginning of the rest of my life, and it's the beginning of a new hope. Oh God, that was a Star Wars reference. But it's the beginning of hope for additional improvements and things. And so I wanted to let you know what was going on. And you can expect to hear from me, coming up. We're going to talk about some things like negativity and how it affects you when you think negatively all the time. That's one of the things I want to talk about this season. I also have, in my lists, we're going to talk about another couple things that, are life lessons I've learned because I'm not the smartest person in the bunch, but I'll share my lessons with you. Things about how you are worth it regardless of what you think. We're going to talk about ugly people, and I'm not talking about how people look. I'm talking about ugly people. Sometime this season, we're going to discuss certain words and how they need to be removed from the American lexicon completely. I've also got down here that I want to talk about my hobbies, which is going to be a long one. And also toys and things like that. The things that make you happy, things that make me happy, and the life lessons I've learned. So there you have it. That's why I've been gone for a little while, but I am back now, and I'm so glad to be with you. Remember to like, remember to comment, remember to subscribe, remember to share. Share this with your friends and families, especially those that deal with depression. Because I can tell you, we will talk about it occasionally. It's so important that we normalize mental health issues in the United States. I was raised by, my grandfather. Any show of emotion was weakness, and that is so flippin' wrong. So we're gonna talk about things like that. I am here for you. Remember, I am your non-judgmental auntie. We can talk about anything, okay? And we will talk about anything. I can guarantee that. So remember our mantra, which is, as always, be bold, be brave, be unstoppable. And I love you just the way you are.